Welcome back to DCS Debrief. Thanks for coming back. We'll start this video on pursuit with a standard disclaimer. I'm not a fighter pilot. These presentations are not intended to be authoritative, but information inferred from my own experience in real aviation where it's relevant, directly referenced official but open source literature, and anecdotal information from former fighter pilots who I happen to know. It's presented for critique and to add to the overall body of information on the topic of air combat in simulation games like DCS, in the hope that it'll be challenged and generate a discussion involving people who know better than I do. Like many tactics, techniques and procedures, application differs in key areas between the game and real life, and as such these presentations are only really relevant in the game. I hope you enjoy it. In order to succeed at BFM, you'll need to enter and maintain within a weapons envelope, which will require pursuit of the bandit. The aim of this video will be to explain the basic principles of maintaining a position behind a manoeuvring bandit without overshooting. In order to get the most out of this video, you'll need to understand the nomenclature that was covered in the first video in this series on fundamentals. You'll also need to understand the difference between turn rate and turn radius, which I discussed in the last video. So we're not yet talking about specific BFM tactics and techniques, but you will need to gain proficiency in these fundamentals in order to be able to grasp the more advanced principles later on and understand their significance in the BFM arena. The tail chase or follow the leader exercise that you'll be able to fly by the end of this video is again not a specific BFM technique, but it will help you understand the fundamentals of pursuit. I'll link to a mission file in the video description that will provide you with the basic PvE follow the leader exercise so that those of you who don't have ready access to the multiplayer environment or a ready supply of other people to fly against can do your own practice. So as always, let's start with some definitions. First of all, plane of manoeuvre. In the last video, I explained that aircraft don't only manoeuvre in the horizontal, but can also exploit some of the benefits of working in the vertical in order to gain an advantage. The orientation in space of an aircraft's two-dimensional turn circle, whether that's horizontal or vertical, is referred to as the plane of manoeuvre. And it's usually aligned with the aircraft's lift vector. So it's not limited to just horizontal and vertical, could be anywhere in between. And when it is in between, it's referred to as being oblique. The bubble. The bubble is an absolutely critical concept to grasp if you want to have any hope of being successful in BFM. The bubble is the volume of airspace that will be taken up by an aircraft carrying out a maximum performance turn. In effect, it is the aircraft's turn circle extruded into a spherical bubble, and it's considered with regard to the aircraft's instantaneous turn performance, and therefore an aircraft will always manoeuvre around the surface of their bubble, with the post at its centre. Because its dimensions are defined by the turn radius, an aircraft can never enter their own bubble. This means that if you're outside a bandit's bubble, they can turn their nose towards you and gain angles, but if you're inside, they can't, making you at least temporarily immune from attack. This one fact is one of the most important fundamentals to grasp about BFM. So as I mentioned in the first video, the highest probability kill for a given weapon within visual range is likely to be in the bandit rear quarter. So in order to employ weapons and kill the bandit as quickly as possible, you need to occupy a point in space that is behind the bandit as soon as possible in the fight. However, just being behind the bandit is not good enough. You need to be able to maintain a range suitable for both weapon fusing and weapon terminal energy, and this applies both to missiles and the gun. Missiles have both minimum and maximum ranges, and gun rounds, while they have no minimum range, if they hit the target, will develop a cloud of shrapnel that you definitely don't want to fly through. In order for a missile to guide, the bandit must be within weapon sensor gimbal limits, so you need to be pointing at the bandit in order to employ. Likewise, with the gun, you'll need to be aiming ahead of the bandit to allow for lead. And finally, should your first weapon be defeated, you'll need the time to generate another shot opportunity, so you must have closure under control, and not only to allow a follow-on, but to avoid an overshoot. Pursuing is unlikely to simply mean following the bandit in a straight drag race, because the quickest way for the bandit to deny you a shot is not to out-drag you and hope that he can run away from your missile maximum range, but to turn and rotate their vulnerable rear quarter away from you. And this also provides them with a potential weapon employment opportunity of their own. So you'll be likely pursuing in a tight curve, and as we discussed in the last video, turning tight is predicated on power available. so you will likely have limited ability to control closure with power because your throttle is going to be hard against the afterburner stop. Therefore, you're going to need to fly different pursuit geometries in order to solve these range, angles and closure problems. Simply flying the shortest distance between where you are now and the bandit's present position is likely to generate more problems than it solves. Firstly, range is going to decrease, possibly to the point where your weapon employment options are limited by the time you can sort out the angles problem you caused by turning inside the bandit, increasing aspect and allowing line of sight rate to balloon, which is also going to require more lead to resolve a gunshot. If you haven't bled off all your speed in such a tight turn, closure is then likely to balloon, and you'll have to pick between a 3 to 9 line overshoot and inevitable death, or an in-close overshoot leading to a 3 to 9 line overshoot and inevitable death. The point is that while just pointing and pulling might resolve one problem, it will likely cause others that will have a very bad outcome attached. So there are 3 possible pursuit geometries, depending on the situation and the bandit's manoeuvre. All 3 are necessary to get your range, angle and closure problems solved in a way that will allow you to control them and not the bandit. The first of these is lead pursuit. Lead pursuit aims to fly a shorter path towards where the bandit will be in the future by effectively predicting where the bandit will be in a few seconds and pointing your aircraft there. A shorter flight path means that even with limited power margin, range can reduce, but as you're almost certainly turning inside the bandit, aspect will increase and line of sight rate might increase too. Lead pursuit is flown by pointing the nose ahead of the bandit along their flight path. The benefits of lead pursuit are firstly that it is necessary for a gun solution. Lead pursuit also collapses range rapidly and increases closure, and this might be to your advantage. The drawbacks of lead pursuit are that it increases aspect and could lead to an in-close overshoot. So when to use lead pursuit? Well, typically lead pursuit is only really used for taking a gunshot or resolving range without respect to angles. Pure pursuit means aiming directly at the bandit, and this also cuts the corner because your flight path will not precisely follow the bandit's flight path. So range will reduce, although more gradually than with lead pursuit, and aspect will also increase, although again not as quickly as with lead pursuit. Pure pursuit is flown by putting the bandit inside the HUD field of view and maintaining them there with plane of motion aligned, or by placing the lift vector on the bandit when manoeuvring out of plane. The benefit of pure pursuit is that pointing directly nose on the bandit places him at the centre of the missile seeker gimbal. The drawbacks of pure pursuit are similar to those of lead because, again, due to geometry, pure pursuit can also lead to an in-close overshoot. Lag pursuit means flying to a position behind the bandit, and this is clearly desirable as this is where we want to end up, and unlike lead or pure pursuit, we are at less risk of collision or an overshoot. Lag controls closure while controlling aspect, but it involves maintaining your nose off the bandit, which is less threatening and may allow the bandit to gain energy by performing below their maximum potential. It could also lead to range actually increasing. Lag pursuit is flown by placing your nose behind the bandit when manoeuvring in the same plane of manoeuvre, or placing the lift vector in the bandit's 6 o'clock if you're out of plane. The main benefit of lag pursuit is that it is the only geometry that will allow you to reduce closure or extend range. However, it cannot be maintained indefinitely, as maintaining nose off the bandit may place your weapons outside gimbal limits, and if you remain there too long, you risk giving away the offensive advantage, particularly if you allow the bandit to build energy to the extent that you are no longer able to bring your nose to bear. So let's have a look at some practical examples of these geometries and their execution. Here we are in F5, then the bandit F5 is ahead of us. He's going to have smoke, green on the right, red on the left wingtip, and initially we're going to maintain in the smoke so that we know that we're following his precise flight path. So round we go then, just skimming the smoke. There we go. Okay, so we're following the precise flight path of the bandit. Now note his position in the canopy as we do. Maintaining the smoke. We are. So his position in the canopy is not changing. Note also that we're in lag pursuit, and even though we're in lag pursuit, the range is not increasing. We're maintaining the same range. If we had an overtake, we'd be able to accelerate around the corner, catch him up and gain some angles that way, but we don't. So he's leveled out, we're going to level out. He's now going to enter a loop. He's going to start going up, we're going to follow him. And again, we're going to follow the same flight path, but note as he goes up, he's going to start decelerating before we do. So a bit like being in a queue of cars on the motorway, we're going to get that concertina effect. He's going to slow down before we slow down, and we'll get closer together over the top. So you can see that range collapsing there, and aspect increasing slightly as he gets God's G over the top. And now watch what happens as we go down the other side. So he's going to start to get the benefit of gravity before we do this time, so he's going to accelerate away from us. You see that range extending now as we actually struggle to maintain his flight path because of my poor energy management. Okay, this time when he enters a turn to the right, I'm going to go for pure pursuit. Watch what happens to the range and the aspect. So there he goes. I'm going to roll and go pure. So we're pointing straight at him. Note how much we're cutting the corner. Well out of the smoke now. Look at the aspect building. Look at the range decreasing. As I continue to try and pull, I can no longer pull and maintain nose on the bandit, and we're going to get a flight path overshoot. Only a slight one. Probably not too much of an opportunity for him to reverse and gain an advantage out of that. And we can settle back into his flight path now. So this time as he pitches up into the loop, we're going to try and keep a constant range from the bandit. So as he pitches up, to avoid that concertina effect, we're going to go initially for lag pursuit. So I'm going to let him go. We'll then pitch up, maintain range by using the lag. He's going over the top now. Now, if we just hold that position, he is going to accelerate away from us. So we're now going to go for initially for pure pursuit, cut the corner, and prevent the range from collapsing. And if we need to gain a little bit more range, we can even pull a little bit of lead. Watch what that does to the aspect as he pulls up again. We're almost at 90 aspect there, and we're definitely going to get a flight path overshoot here and a possible reversal opportunity there if we were in anything other than pure vertical. We're going to use a little bit of lag to let him get ahead of us. It wouldn't be this close, of course, for real. And down we go again. So we can control our range from the bandit. I've had the throttle parked at full reheat throughout the entirety of this evolution, so we can control our range purely using lead, lag and pure pursuit. As with turning, pursuit curves are not limited to bandit plane of manoeuvre. Such manoeuvres are known as out of plane. You can execute lead pursuit out of plane by rolling to place your lift vector ahead of the bandit and pulling to max perform the jet. But as the bandit manoeuvres, you will then need to moderate your roll in order to maintain your lift vector in the correct orientation. This is often trickier than it looks. You can execute pure pursuit by placing your lift vector on the bandit and pulling, but again you will need to moderate your roll while max performing. While missiles can be fired out of plane, probability kill is affected as the bandit is going to be moving towards the edge of the seeker field of vision and not stabilised in the centre of the gimbal until the missile can manoeuvre. Out-of-plane gunshots have a very low PK. You can execute lag pursuit out of plane by placing your lift vector in the bandit's 6 o'clock, deliberately pitching away from the bandit's plane of manoeuvre and then adopting out-of-plane lag geometry is a common method of avoiding an overshoot as a last resort. So we've discussed the specific pursuit geometry required to gain and maintain weapon envelope, and I will talk more about weapon envelope's entry and maintenance in later videos. A combination of all three pursuit types will be necessary to control range, angles and closure in order to maintain an offensive position behind the bandit, and this process is not formulaic. The techniques that are appropriate and the method in which they are applied will be highly dependent on the situation, not only based upon the bandit's manoeuvre, but also the ground, and much later on, the position of your wingman. Utilisation of out-of-plane manoeuvres is often necessary to solve range angles and closure problems, even when the bandit manoeuvres purely in the horizontal. These techniques will be vital to your success in BFM, so practice is essential. It's not particularly cool, and it may be boring, but like anything, the more you practice, the better you will get, and the control inputs will become second nature. aim to fly as smoothly as possible to minimize your energy depletion. So you can either set up your own pursuit mission or download mine. There are a variety of aircraft to choose from, but you'll be flying against a low thrust-to-weight ratio aircraft in mine. Once you're familiar with the techniques, you'll benefit from flying these manoeuvres behind targets of the same aircraft type as you, and then in aircraft with different but equivalent or greater performance potential. If you choose to practice in multiplayer, the lead aircraft should remember that the aim is not to throw the fighter off their tail. It's to provide training opportunities to use the 3 pursuit techniques, so it's not competitive. If you found this video to be useful, please like and subscribe. It lets me know that there's interest out there, and it will keep you informed as I release more videos in the future. If you didn't like the video, if I didn't explain something properly, or you thought I didn't address your specific questions, then please comment and leave a thumbs down if you thought it was that bad. And if you're a fighter pilot, or you know more about this than I do, then please tell me so in the comments and help educate us all. Enjoy the practice. I'll see you next time.